Thank you very much, Shelley. Thank you for the introduction and welcome everyone. Great to have you on board here today. Very excited for the next 30 minutes, 40 minutes that we'll be presenting. So, as Shelley mentioned, we'll be talking today about use cases of intelligent automation across different business functions. And to begin with, let me give you a little overview. Although Shelley covered it a little bit, I'll just touch upon it one more time for a minute. So our company, Nividus, basically has a product for intelligent automation, again, as Shelley mentioned, and this allows your full business transformation. So in your entire enterprise, your end-to-end business transformation can be enabled on such a product, intelligent automation product, which covers your business automation, which would be encompassing robotic process automation, business process automation for human tasks and bots to work together, and artificial intelligence. So necessarily you need, in our opinion, these three components which form the intelligent automation to do an end-to-end automation of your enterprise. We are, again, as Shelley mentioned, a 10-year-old company, growing very quickly, a lot of very successful implementations through our product, and won multiple awards in the industry for the same. We cover customers across multiple domains: banking, insurance, healthcare, financial services, life sciences, manufacturing, logistics, IT, BPO, and many more. As Shelley mentioned, we are covered by multiple analysts for starting from Gartner to Forrester to Everest Group for our implementations as well as our product reviews. So Gartner has covered us as one of the top RPA products worldwide. Forrester has covered a customer of ours for a very unique implementation for RPA and intelligent automation. And Everest Group ranks us as one of the fastest growing companies. In fact, the Everest Group has also named us as a star performer in 2020, and recently we just had the new release for 2021. The peak matrix was released for 2021, where again we have made significant progress from even this particular ranking. We also covered under a separate product ranking, intelligent document processing, and that is for machine learning, AI capabilities as a separate product other than RPA. And there also we've been covered as one of the major contenders. So to recap, what is intelligent automation? So we heard about this a little bit, but let me recap what it really means. So as an enterprise, you are focused on enhancing your productivity. You want to scale rapidly. You want more employee engagement. You want greater insights into what's happening into your company, and of course greater accuracy. These are some of your roadmap of what you want to achieve. And this is exactly what intelligent automation is created for. The purpose of intelligent automation is to give you all of this transparently and allow you to grow bottom up rather than having to do everything at once and bite off more than you can chew right away from the start. We realize that could be a problem in many cases where you're doing a full product engineering and trying to approach things from top down. Might take much longer for you to get your return on investment, and also won't allow you to make changes as you go along, because not everything that you envision may be actually what you had, from what you imagined to what you are actually trying to achieve. There may be gaps, and going bottom up allows you to do that. At least allow you to, understand where you're going and correct problems along the way. So, like I mentioned earlier, robotic process automation is normally what you would, you can start with either robotic process automation, artificial intelligence for any kind of data extraction, document classification, validation, or you can start with business process management. You have any of these three areas from where you can start. Normally what we see our customers start with is in the area of robotic process automation, where there are siloed processes that can easily automate, and it's very quick to do this and very easy to achieve. And then as they want to achieve more automation, they move a little further by augmenting their bots to get more intelligent using artificial intelligence. So they start mimicking human behavior. And then you move on to business process management, where you have multiple such bots that you want to streamline into one end-to-end enterprise process, and also combine it with human performers who will do reviews, validations, necessarily things that a human would need to take decisions on. So as I mentioned, starting with RPA, you would plug all the holes in your enterprise for repetitive manual tasks. You would make your data movement across inflexible systems, outdated inflexible systems, easier by using bots rather than having humans do this repetitive work. And of course, manual paper-based processes are something that you would necessarily not want your employees to waste time on. So these, as well as data sources which are inconsistent, or having your employees work on more value add tasks in your enterprise, are some of the reasons why people would start with RPA. And then you would augment with more human intelligence, and then finally give the visibility, your end-to-end enterprise visibility of your end-to-end process by stitching them together through an BPM orchestration. So the products that we have allow this to happen. So a studio allows you to build processes. It's a low-code platform where you can build something, deploy into the control center. It could be BPM, it could be RPA processes. They would be executed on your bots or smart bots, which are our AI ML servers, which allow you to give the intelligence to your bots, your RPA processes. And then you would stitch it together necessarily by adding human tasks to this entire end-to-end process, where there are things that require people to validate data that may have been either extracted by a bot or a smart bot. So at this point, I believe, Shelley, we need to run a poll. We're going to be offering a poll at this point, and we'd like you to participate before we move on. We'd like to know some feedback from you so we can understand whether this would be, what would be the ROI that you would be achieving from this? What do you expect to gain from this webinar? So the questions that we are sharing on the poll are you currently running any form of automation in your enterprise, in your business enterprise? And the questions, the choices over there are, we are currently running it in production. We have it in the pilot or proof of concept phase. We are planning to explore it in the next 12 months. We have no plans to explore at this time. So we really look forward to getting your feedback on this. And it will be interesting to see how businesses are approaching it. Of course, we are seeing it from a product vendor point of view. We know what our customers are looking towards, but we also are surprised many times by some of the insights we get from some of the webinars. Shelley, do we have the results already?
Okay, let me close the poll and I'll share the results. Shvetal, you should be seeing the results on your screen.
Okay.
So we have received, a mix of responses, but the third option that says we are planning to explore it in the next 12 months as the highest result, that is 42% people have voted on that. And first and the fourth option has 25% people vote. So yeah, that's the kind of mix that we have got in the audience.
Okay, great. So it's kind of consistent with what we know. So let's continue with what we were, where we were at. Let me just share my screen again, and then we can continue. There you go. So it's interesting because this is what I expected. We have it in the pilot or proof of concept phase is one of the more popular answers, and we are planning to explore it in the next 12 months is the most popular answer. So either it's something which is important and being approached, or it is in the pilot. I'm surprised that many are not already having it in production. I thought that that would also come up a little higher, but that's interesting. So let's go through a few case studies because there is a lot of conceptually people understand that intelligent automation is something they need to do, but what does it really mean? What is intelligent automation? Sorry?
Sorry to interrupt you, but I cannot see your screen, the presentation slide.
Okay, let me share it again.
Yeah.
Okay, let me know if you're able to see it.
Yeah, I can see it. You just
You
need
can,
to run it in a slideshow. Yeah.
okay, you can see it now?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Great. So let's look at the first one we have. Accounts payable. This is something that will resonate with most people because this is something that is that cuts horizontally across all enterprises. So most of us have the whole procure to pay that we want to automate at some point, but that's trying to attempt doing everything at once, maybe a little more than we want to start with right away, and may not give us an ROI right away anyway. So uh, perhaps a smaller piece of that. What about accounts payable? That's one of the pieces in the puzzle that is effort that has it consumes a lot of effort, and particularly within that we have invoice extraction. So customers get anywhere from a few thousand to maybe 10, 15, 20, 50,000 invoices a month, depending on the size of your enterprise. These are very very difficult to automate because it requires extraction from different kind of vendor invoice documents. Their structures are not the same. Requires necessarily document extraction and intelligent machine learning based document extraction product or a tool. So it starts with that. Once the document has the data extracted from it, then you need to necessarily compare it with a lot of other data you may have in your system because you want to do you want to attempt straight through processing, and that necessarily will come in when you are able to get the line items extracted and then compare it with your ERP systems. If it's a purchase order based invoice or a non-PO or a freight or a capex, each of these have to be properly segregated, and you need cognitive capabilities to do that. You need cognitive understanding of what this invoice actually means, and then go into the right system of record to match the information in that. There may be one-to-many relationships where the PO could flow into the multiple line items need to be matched against different invoice line items. So all of this requires some intelligence. So there is RPA, which can necessarily do that matching for you after the data is extracted, and there will be necessarily some humans also. So you will have some humans who will have to approve the data, will have to review some of the information, some exceptions will flow into them. So this is a classic use case where you will need some humans, bots, and AI ML, which is smart bots in our case, working together to solve this problem. So this is something that cuts across all different verticals, all domains. So we've seen this a lot, and this is an area that we have been able to automate very successfully. And again, to just before I move on from here, it is important to know that it is not just about ROI in terms of how many people, how much effort am I saving. There is much more to that. There is first time right, SLAs that I need to match. My vendors need to be happy that I am not having rework happening there. I'm not asking them for more information than I require. And they get the status, they have visibility into where things are for them. So it's not only your own enterprise, it goes beyond your enterprise to your customers, your vendors, rather than your customers, in this case, vendors, who also benefit directly. Automating billable hours and invoice, basically you want to make sure that your invoices that you're charging to your customers. So this is a professional services firm that require this automation, and every 2 weeks they would be sending out invoices, and every resource, every employee that they had on billing projects would, depending on the project, would have maybe a slightly different role and a slightly different rate to match with that. So it was very important to make sure that there were no errors over here, and that every time the bot would go in, do an intelligent match to see what is in the contract, what is in the SOW, does it match with actually with the actual detail in the system for generating invoices before the invoices are generated, and flag off all such problems to make sure that you don't end up charging a customer incorrectly. So a very interesting use case again, where contracts and SOWs, as you know, are very unstructured in nature. None of them look alike. Every customer has a different one. To be able to go through all of that intelligently, make sense of it, and then extract rates from it is something that is the next level of automation, which is what we call intelligent automation. Purchase order, sales order processing for large US logistics company. This is again, it involves AR as well as AP, some parts of it. Plus, it is it touches upon some of it, but basically, sales order processing. When a work order was received, it had to be, there was a lot of manual effort. There was a lot of logging into system, filling out details. And these sales orders were very complex to read. They were not your regular. The quality of the documents was bad, as well as the structure was very, very different for each different format. So again, was requiring some kind of an intelligent automation. So we read using intelligent document processing the purchase order, and then were able to get the right information from it, fill it, and again reconfirm it from internal systems. A lot of the use cases and case studies over here will talk to some similar implementation requirements. So extracting and then validating, either using machine learning or using business rules. So this was very similar to that. Service desk automation is a slightly different use case, and it's very interesting because this is again something that cuts across all different verticals. So whether you are in insurance, or you are in banking, or for the matter in manufacturing, there are many use cases where you would need handling of a customer request or an email. Normally, these kind of requests flow into your CRM system, and in the event there are many such emails flowing in, they require to be segregated to the right team to handle it. And it's not always easy to do that, especially when you have a large volume. So you have a lot of people actually visually seeing the email, understanding the context by reading not only the current email, but the trailing email, and then routing it to the right people. So that is how it happens in the as is process. But if you were to automate this, this could be done by again combining an RPA bot to read an email and then apply machine learning to understand the body of the email and the intent. So looking at the body of the email, understand the intent of what the customer is asking. Also do a sentiment analysis to understand the sentiment of the customer, to prioritize certain emails in the event that customer is really irate and needs special attention at that time. So idea is these two combine to give a human cognitive behavior in interpreting emails, and then not only routing them to the right individuals, but also in your organization, but also going beyond and basically, in many cases, handling the response itself. So if somebody just wants a policy, updated policy detail, in the case of insurance, you would just go inside into the details of the internal system, pull it out and send it out. If for example, the address had to be updated and the required document for validation is also attached to the email, then the document could be extracted from the validation done, updated, the policy could be updated, and then the policy could be sent out. So various things that could be handled by the automation itself, the intelligent automation. Report generation in wealth management, again, is another very interesting use case where there are a lot of portfolio reports that need to be generated from different websites. So bots need to go out and look at all the different third-party websites, get the detail, log in over there, get the details of the customer. In wealth management, of course, you end up investing in different products, and then to be able to download them from third-party websites. And there may be some legacy systems also involved in this kind of interaction. And then combine all of this information into customer reports, which then would be signed in many cases. Some automated signature has to be done on those documents and then sent out to the customer. So again, very interesting use case where your cycle time can be reduced, and of course productivity and man hours could be saved, and you could increase your productivity. Bank reconciliation is very common. You have your general ledger statements and your bank statements, and you have your BRS, which is something that you will use for reconciling each day. So you have a bank reconciliation statement, and then your general ledger and bank statement. All of these would be combined together, and every day's reconciliation would happen by comparing the line items to make sure that there are matches, and those matches which were not found would be passed on to the next day, where the match would be again tried on the next day. So it's a reconciliation statement that would continue to be matched against, and an RPA bot would be able to do this. This is again a little tricky because statements look different, and to be able to do this across different bank statements, different line items, and debit credit entries, all of these is of course a very time intensive process, and to be done by to be handed off to a bot is a very important use case for many customers that we work with. Customer onboarding using AI ML. This is again interesting because there are a lot of field agents that we see for many different domains, insurance, banking, where the field agents go with tablets or their phones, and then they are having the phone apps from which they will need to scan the information for KYC and other documents such as the account opening forms, for example. So all this data entry normally would happen at the back office. So normally, as this process is, somebody would go out there, collect all the forms, the documentation. There wouldn't be that, the checks would not be that thorough. This would go back into this would go to the back office, and there the problems would be caught, and then you would have this whole process repeat where somebody would go out in the field again and gather all these forms again. So why not do it first time right? So instead, if you were to just scan it up front, and the documents are already extracted from, and if possible, the field agent can correct it right there. So what you are ingesting into the system are already good quality documents that are extracted from, rather the good data that is extracted, and instead of going to the back office and being sent back, it's just going to flow one way, and you will cut down on your SLA times. You also cut down on your back office requirements. So normally your field agents now are also helping you ingest right data and reducing some of the efforts right up front for you. So your process gets streamlined, and you are also reducing your you're within your SLAs and being able to approach your timelines. So processes can be automated easily, and of course accuracy improvement, like I mentioned. So the possibilities are limitless. And Shelly, before we move on, I think this would be the right time for another poll.
All right, let me pull that up quickly.
So the next poll we have here is which of the following business functions are you targeting to automate? So which of the following business functions are you targeting to automate? Finance and accounting, customer service, supply chain, human resources, and others. So we walk through a few that cover and touch upon many of these areas. So we talk, sorry, Shally?
Shwetal, we had, I had mistakenly populated this poll earlier, and when I launched it again, I see the results only, but some of the audiences, so we cannot relaunch it again, but customer service and supply chain is the business function that we see some people have responded to for those
Okay.
two options.
Great. So that's interesting because we touched upon a few of those when we walked through some of these case studies. Supply chain is important, and we hear you loud and clear, and we have got this repeated request also from our customers. So it's interesting. But we also see, in addition to that, use cases that cut across different domains, like service desk orchestration is also another very important one, very repeatable, that we see very often, actually, compared to, I would say supply chain and that would kind of be the top areas that our customers are trying to automate. So let me make sure my screen is visible again.
Yeah, it is visible. Okay, now it is gone, but yeah, I can see it, and you just need to put it in presentation mode. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, great. So, as you automate your process, one very interesting thing I'd like to mention here is, as a business, you are going to automate your process, and the reason I say that, and there is no way out for you, because as a business, you're competing with your other competitors, and you are doing better than your competitors because you are executing better. Your execution is your process, and you go on reinventing it. You make it leaner, more tight, more optimized, and that's what keeps you in business. So that process that keeps you in business is necessarily something that you will automate. So if you automate it, you execute even better. So if you are constantly improving your processes, you need to constantly keep improving your automation of those processes. And that's where intelligent automation is very important, because it allows you to do this quickly. You don't have to, you can do it incrementally, you can do pieces of it, and then only upgrade to newer versions of parts of your processes, where the old the entire end-to-end process may remain the same. So the flexibility that intelligent automation gives you allows you to compete better. So we see that you have all the way from finance and accounting, all the way you know through human resources, sales and marketing. We talked about some of these, supply chain, external vendors, partners, all the way from the left to the right. You see so many different, I'm not going to go through all of these, but you will see so many different processes that can be automated based on where you're seeking your ROI. So let's go through a quick demo to give you a little insight into what this automation can actually achieve for you. So this is going to be an accounts payable process automation, which is something that we're going to start with. And we have a vendor portal here in our screen, where I'm going to upload, as a vendor, I'm going to log into this portal and I'm going to upload a new invoice. And I see that it's been accepted, and the date and other information, and also some basic information is extracted from this automatically. And the system now kicks off a new business process to manage this invoice, to process it. So this is the actual workflow all the way. So I'm going to pause it a little for a second and try to explain what we're seeing here. So the process starts with OCR extraction. There'll be a data review, duplicate check, rejecting of invoice in the event that it is found to be a duplicate, GL code and cost center extraction in the event of a non-PO, and then it moves on to processing, and then approval, and then manual handling, and then an SAP step where it would update this into SAP system. So this process is a little simplistic, but it can be matching exactly your process. And this is a dashboard where you would see the invoice amount approved, the vendor information, the approved vendors, all the other information that you chose to see. All of this is completely customizable. I'm going to now, as go in and as a human, I have a task assigned to me to review this task, and I'm going to look at it, review this contextually. The information on the left and right is already shown in the right context to me, so I can quickly review this and complete this task. In the event that all of this data match correctly, it would be a straight-through process. I would not have to necessarily review this, but we're showing you this to also give you an idea as to how line items for your invoice would be matched across against your purchase order line items, your unit price, the GRN quantity, your PO quantities. All of these can be matched from your SAP or ERP system, where you have this data stored. And as soon as that is completed, it triggers the bot automatically to push this data into your ERP system. So what has happened is it is now approved for payment, and it has been posted into your ERP system. So end-to-end process automation is what you saw, where it involved bots to extract data, and then from documents. It started with a vendor uploading a document, and then data was extracted from it, passed on to a human to review it, and then finally, of course, it went through many steps where different logic was executed, business logic, and at the very end, after everything was reviewed and all in place, it was posted into the ERP system. So this is one such example. All other use cases would have pieces of this kind of automation in different forms. This brings me to the last slide. So a lot of customers ask us, how do we know if we're going to be able to achieve the ROI that we expect? This is something new to us. What is intelligent automation? It's not clear. Are we going down the right path? So we have a quick start offering designed for exactly those kind of questions, where we take the guesswork out of the decision making. We take the risk out of the decision making. So there's we offer a guaranteed rollout of a trained bot in 3 to 4 weeks, and we're able to do this because we're able to build very quickly on our platform. So we have this quick start, which includes a trained bot. As I mentioned, it will be a fixed price with no obligation to purchase. We'll put it in production. You can use it. You're convinced that it works for you is really when you decide you want to, discuss the commercials. So it comes with a 1-year subscription if you so desire to then continue with it. And if not, we just, we walk away, no questions asked. So this allows customers, some of the customers may be using other forms of automation, and this may be a way for them to validate how Nivelis Intelligent Automation works against as compared to those other products. In many cases, they may have no automation, but they may not be able to prove or understand what kind of returns they would get. So this is a very easy way for them to do this. And it, of course, covers all the way from workshop to scoping to implementation and rollout with a proper handover. So this concludes my last, this is my last slide, so I conclude my webinar with this. Of course, it would not be complete without getting some feedback, some questions. I'd be happy to take questions at this point. Shelley, do we have any?
Hi, Shvetal, it's Brian from Proqis here. I'm just stepping in a little bit for Shelley because I think she's got some audio problems. Very good presentation. Thank you very much for that. Got some initial questions for you. Some more may come in as we move forward through it. But I'd like to start by asking one of the questions that came in. How do you measure the ROI of an IAP project? An intelligent automation project. Lots of different methodologies seem to be out there, but from your perspective, how do you measure that ROI?
That's a very good question, and a question that we've been asked all the time. So ROI comes in various forms. Most people look at ROI as just a number. So ROI is not about cost savings alone. That forms a big part in most cases, and how much am I really going to save by automating this? But there is ROI beyond just cost savings. It could be ROI in terms of your timelines that you need to meet. There may be ROI in terms of getting it right the first time, because the errors could be very, very costly. One example I'll give you for something like that is where in the logistics domain, we had a customer who was shipping large containers from Europe. And they have to be absolutely 100% bang on in terms of all the information that they need in terms of documentation, bank LCs, everything that supports the bank LCs have to be in place. All the documentation has to be correct. All the, that the containers have to be validated. So the error in such a case was just huge, because if anything went wrong there, the cost was huge. So it was not only about ROI for them in terms of human effort saved in automation of this, because they already had a maker checker kind of use case where somebody was validating and then somebody else revalidating it. So it was not about just the saving of that labor. It was about getting it right and making sure that they don't have to do rework, and also meeting their SLAs in time. So SLAs getting it right, your ROI can be in multiple ways it can be measured.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Shvetal. And I'm sure any of the audience that wants to follow up on that particular aspect, Shvetal will make himself available to you either via social media or in direct contact following the webinar. Another question which has come in, which is quite an interesting one from my perspective. This is something I'm only peripherally aware of in terms of this area, but could you share more details about the IDP capabilities of your platform? What is the sort of IDP sort of information technology for those that are not as familiar with that acronym?
Sure. So IDP stands for Intelligent Document Processing. So we have various kinds of documents in organizations. Invoices is something that we talked about right now, but it could be bank LCs, the use case I just gave for the logistics company. Extracting from a bank LC, it's a completely unstructured document. It's, there are lines, there are no tables, there is no name value pair. So it's very unstructured. Extracting from there and then making sense out of this is important. We've done something very interesting also as a different kind of use cases, extracting from meters. So meter readings, during COVID, there was a very interesting use case where a company needed to extract. A company in a energy company could not really extract from their meters, and it had to be actually utilities company, and it had to be they wanted to scan a photograph of the meter and then extract from that. So that's again another extraction from a photograph. Menus, extracting from menus for aggregator, restaurant aggregator. Another use case, medical card extraction in healthcare, extracting from all different kinds of variations of medical cards, Blue Shield, Blue Cross, but there are so many different formats. That's another very interesting use case. Sales orders, we talked about those. So all of these, one very interesting one I forgot to mention is in healthcare, in lending, there are documents that flow in. There can be bulk documents using, with hundreds of pages, sometimes even 1,000 pages, and they have to be classified. That means each page has to be understood logically as to what this signifies, and then split documents logically. This is a utilities bill, this is a loan document, etc. And then extract it from. So those are all use cases which get into the realm of intelligent automation, where it's not just document extraction, but it's also context that you need to extract from the document.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Shvetal. That's very, very insightful, and I hope that cleared up the query that the questioner had. So building on that, I've got quite a nice one from Ram, who has kindly said, and I hope this doesn't put you on the spot too much, Shvetal, do you have a workflow for QA audit automation for voice/chat? And if so, how does it work?
Sure. So automation for voice or chat, again, requires machine learning to be able to understand the context and to be able to extract logical context in chatting. Or in chatting, of course, you will need to have that whole conversational logic. So yes, that is possible. And voice is no different. Actually, it's different in the sense you have to first convert it into text and then apply the same context, conversational logic to it.
Okay.
I hope I answered that question correctly. I hope I got that question correctly.
Well, I'm sure you'll be able to follow up with Ram following this conversation. Ram, please do reach out directly to Shvetal. He'll be delighted to walk you through that process from an NVIDIA's perspective. So a couple of more questions that Sundar has put in. Sundar has basically built on the first response to the ROI question along the lines of obviously asking customer needs benefits from RPA or IA, how was it evaluated? Now, I think you covered that a lot in the ROI perspective moving forward, but a more interesting development from that point is, and his next question, and I suspect this is one we could talk about for quite some time, but if employees are relieved from repetitive and menial jobs, how else will they be utilized by the business? Now, I think that's one of those how long is a piece of string questions, but would you want to take a quick stab?
Absolutely. So this is a question that I get asked a lot also. And it's about, so people think that a bot is going to take over a human job, and then what does the human do after that? It's never like that. In none of our implementations have we seen that if there is a saving in labor, it is translated into no work for a human. So in fact, what it has done is it has allowed more intelligent, more fulfilling work for the human. So the company, if it was handling a volume, and it's all about volume business, right? In most cases, you can only do so much as a company because you have only so many employees or so many people to do that with. But if you really need to scale, and if you get a bot or many bots to do a good part of what you do today, that leaves all your other employees to do more intelligent work to allow you to scale multifold. So think of it as adding and augmenting your labor with additional employees to allow you to scale significantly beyond what you could achieve with the limited staff that you may have. Because it's always limited, right? If you want to scale beyond, you can't just go out and keep hiring. At some point, you will hit some limits in terms of what you can afford. So that's one of the things that we've seen, and I'll even in our most extensive projects where there was a huge automation pipeline from end to end, where there were more than 100 employees and their work got automated. Actually, that's not the best use case, but yeah, about, I would say, a representative 100 employees got reduced. The work for those got reduced to about 60 employee worth, but those other 40 employees got refashioned into doing other kinds of work, which again led to significant advancement of the company.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Shvetal. And Sundar, again, please do reach out and continue that conversation. Shvetal will be more than happy to continue that with you and walk you through the processes. And a final question from the audience on this side. I know that, or rather we know that Navidius is a cross-industry platform, but is there any domain-specific solution that is available, for example, for healthcare revenue cycle management?
Absolutely. So we have multiple areas that we focus on. Healthcare is one of them. One of our very advanced implementations are in that. Entire end-to-end revenue cycle management is something that we have done repeatedly at multiple customers, either healthcare, eye care. All of them have the requirements, right from patient scheduling to eligibility checks, to claim settlements, to reconciliation, payment reconciliations, to inventory management. Basically, the entire end-to-end. In some cases, customers have grown by acquisitions, so there is also new store onboardings, especially in the case of eye care. So that is one. Another one is medical coding, again in healthcare related areas where it's a intensive task, and to be able to do it accurately requires some automation, intelligent automation. So there are multiple such solutions that are industry specific. These in particular are the ones for healthcare.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Shvetal. Thank you so much for the presentation today. Very much appreciated. And ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the part one of the real world use cases of intelligent automation, then please do not miss part two, where we actually look at classic examples of IA across different verticals. So you will be able to build on the structure of the presentation today. And as we say from Proqis, please don't hesitate to reach out to either Shvetal or Shaylee or any of their colleagues on social media. Follow up after this presentation. You will have their direct contact details sent to you very shortly, and the on-demand version will be available shortly so that you can download it, catch any content that you may have missed, but also more importantly, share it with your colleagues in your organizations and a wider field. So with that, I'd like to thank Shvetal for taking the time to join us and put this on today, and for Shaylee for all her fantastic work behind. Thank you so much, guys, and we look forward to the next presentation.
Sure. And there are handouts available for you to download for this specific webinar, 5 of them.
Yeah. There are 5 of them. If you haven't already downloaded them, please don't hesitate to do so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.